Hey, good morning to those of you out there on the West Coast. Good afternoon to those of you here on the East Coast with me. Having kind of an interesting day because Amazon is having all sorts of problems with the internet. Hopefully, you're paying attention to this. But all across the country, there's issues with the internet. What I go live on has issues as well. So I'm going to go live. I'm going to check the recording on this as well to make sure it's good to go. And then what I'll do afterwards is if for some reason this doesn't actually go live, then I will try to record it out there. I see some people already here. So do me a favor, like Charles, Trevor, let me know that you can see me from an AV standpoint, and then I will get started diving in. It takes about 1 minute to ask the question, get an answer, have it come back, but we'll be fine. And let me just, as I'm doing this, take care of some things that I'm seeing. Hey, Paul, good to see you. I'm looking for anybody to say, yeah, you're good to go. Live and well, perfect. Okay, so let's get rocking and rolling on the government shutdown, right? It's interesting. Amazon's having all these problems with AWS shutting down all these type of services that are out there, but that's accidental. On the federal side, the federal government has shut the government down. I think we're in day 20 here, and this is on purpose. This is their choice to do this, but it's inside of what I call my circle of concern, not my circle of influence. So my circle of concern is all these things that bother me, like the government being shut down, but that I have no control over really at all. And inside of that big circle is a tight circle called circle of influence. This is what I have influence over. And this is what I want to talk to you about today. Let's focus on what we have influence over. Let's not slow down just because the government shuts down. They pay themselves, but they shut down. Let's not focus on that. Let's not dwell on that. Let's focus on what we can do about it. And that's today's training. If you think about the shutdowns, right? This is not the first time it's happened. I've been around long enough that it happens over and over again. And naively, when the government all got together earlier in 2025 around July 4th, if you go back, you'll literally see me having put out posts. It's like, we're never going to have shutdowns again. Like they passed it. And it didn't occur to me at the time. It was smoke and mirrors. They had passed it, but they didn't fund it. And so they still had to come back and deal with this. And that's what we're running into right now. But just because the government shuts down doesn't mean we shut down. In fact, if you think that the government itself is shut down, I submit that you're wrong. The government is still active in there. There's a lot of essential services, which I'll talk about, that are running within the federal government. And I put here the pros, but you might say the winners as well. Those of us who are really professional in our sales skills, meaning we don't give up until we hit the goals that have been set for us. The pros know that when the government shuts down, this is actually the time for us to be able to gain ground on our competitors, for us to be able to do the hard work, for us to not focus on, woe is me, which all of us feel. It's just, it's this thing I teach my sons. If you think about like in war and in some of those tough times like that, and the courage that comes out, courage doesn't happen with people who are fearless. Right? It's getting past that fear. And if I kind of equate that to what we're doing, just because we're, I'm pushing forward and saying, let's have success. Let's do what the professionals do. And let's go, keep pushing forward while the government's shut down. Just because I'm trying to put on this positive attitude and energy to it doesn't mean I'm going, damn, this sucks. Right? I'm just not letting the sucky part of it control me. I want to sit there and control my future. And right now is your chance to be able to do this. And by the way, just to set your expectations, guaranteed the government's going to shut it down again next year. That's if we get through the end of the year kind of thing. But we can't control that. We can control our activities, and that's what I want you to control. I put down here the day I missed a sales goal by 100,000 because I wanted to remind myself to tell you the story of this company I was part of. And the president set a goal for the year saying, hey, we need to hit $150 million in sale goals. And if we do, then I will take everybody in the company and your families to Hawaii for this big, huge vacation. And the thing is, those sales activities were all like the $1,000 to $5,000 sale. It wasn't like one sale at $100 million or something. It was a whole bunch of $1,000 and $5,000 sales. And so it was a heavy effort through the year, but there was a couple of things that had popped up and we didn't hit that goal. And so when we're at this celebratory party at the end of the year and they're passing out awards for, good effort and all these different things that people had done, and we got to that one big one that we were all waiting for, we had 149 million that we had achieved, not the 150, but we far exceeded the previous year. And president gets up there and says, well, we didn't hit the goal, so maybe next year. And people were up in arms, up in arms. The VP of sales was like, what are you doing? They got my team, they got 149 million out of $150 million goal. And the president said, right, the goal was 150 million. That's the goal we set for ourselves. We're not celebrating missing the goal. We celebrate when we hit the goal. And it was such a brutal lesson. I mean, you can imagine this, right? It's such a brutal lesson. But the next year, there were 2 earthquakes and a tornado that impacted the company, shut it down for weeks at a time. And the company far exceeded their sales goal because no one was going to miss the trip to Hawaii. And that's what I kind of want you to keep in mind, is that even though this stuff happens around us, if we set a goal, don't change that goal. Drive right towards that goal. Do more than is necessary to achieve the goal. That way, if the government shuts down for 30 days or 60 days or whatever the heck they're doing, we will still achieve our goals. We will figure out ways to get there. And the idea behind this success comes from your mindset, right? If you think about momentum, doing the right things the right way and enough of the right things, that's momentum towards your goal. That will lead to the goals you have set for yourself. Success is a mindset. I say that I'm going to have success. Sometimes I don't even know how I'm going to have success, but I know I'm going to have success. I believe that I'm going to have success and I'll move forward. And I won't let a government shutdown stop me. So, and I say this softly to all of you I love out there and I respect. Successful people don't whine. We don't have excuses, right? We just make it happen. And we are going to make it happen for ourselves. I am here for you to help you make it happen. I'm going to break down today's training into 3 sections. What's really shut down? So we got an understanding of what's going on in the government. What successful government contractors are doing right now. And then I want to wrap up with just 5 habits that you can put in place that will help you get through things like this when we shut down. Actually, these habits probably transcend just the shutdown. But for today, let's call them shutdown habits for federal winners. That's what I'm going to talk about. If you don't know who I am, my name is Neil McDonough. I am the president of the GovCon Chamber of Commerce, founder of Call Plan AI, and I want to welcome you to my federal sales training where I provide tips for success in the federal market. I spent 20 years in the federal market as a small business owner after I got out of the Army. And since 2018, I've been teaching people like you that government contracting is not a secret. It's just a process. When we follow a process A to Z, we have repeatable, predictable results. And this is what I want for you. It's why I'm coming back day after day, is to try to help you develop the knowledge and skills necessary to succeed as a government contractor. If you haven't followed me on LinkedIn, join 41,000, almost 42,000 other people who are following me on LinkedIn. Subscribe to my government contracting success newsletter. One of the best things about that is I'm constantly putting information out that I think will benefit you as a government contractor. As an example, today I posted, it might have been last night, I get a little confused, but I did it myself live. I just get confused. I posted a newsletter article with 40 other GovCon newsletters in there. So if you love my stuff, here are 39 other people who are trying to provide the same valuable information to you out there. So go check it out in my newsletter, subscribe while you're at it, but make sure you check out all those other newsletters out there. Okay, and sign up for tomorrow's training. We're going to be talking about how the WSB certification actually holds women-owned small businesses down. And then I'm going to give you suggestions on what you can do to have success despite that certification. All right, I'm going to move fast because I only got 20 minutes left and I like to stay on time. I end at 12:30 East Coast time. Let's talk about what's really shut down. It's easy for us to think, everything's shut down. One of the things I was considering, I think it was yesterday or over the weekend, was this whole idea that I think those of us in the GovCon space, those of us in DC, we're really pretty fixated on the government being shut down. But across the country, a lot of people aren't really tracking on it unless they're going into a national park or something where it personally hits them. For a lot of people, it doesn't hit as hard as it is hitting you. And some of these people are just unaware of what's going on with the shutdown because there's so many other things going on in life. But the thing I would like us to keep in mind is that the government isn't gone, right? The government shutdown doesn't mean the government's gone. It's limited out there. This is kind of no different than when Doge came along in the beginning of the year and they started attacking USAID and basically closing it, State Department, Department of Education. It's kind of like that, where all these things that we were, and I'm talking about it from a business perspective, a sales perspective, these sales targets within the federal government we might have been going after are gone. Well, now with the government shutdown, there is more of this. Doge should have actually prepared us for this, because Doge came in and some of its first attacks were its perceived non-essential areas, non-essential agencies, right? And I say perceived because I'm not here to debate it, but they came in and said that. You can go back and watch earlier in this year, in the late January, February, March, I did all sorts of training videos about what's essential and non-essential services within different agencies. And I would go into different agencies and show you how they described it. And again, it's not a debate. It's what that agency says is essential, meaning it must operate whether we have funding or not. And non-essential is basically anything that can be dropped if we don't have funding. And so there is a clear delineation that you'll find out there. An example is, in the military, when you think about the military members and preparing for war and all that kind of stuff, solid essential services. But inside that same military, there's maybe civilian training and stuff that goes on. That's out. Research and development took a big hit with Doge, and now it's taking a big hit again with the government shutdown. So it's only non-essential services that are stopping. That means you want to find the essential agencies, and this is how I built my last two companies. Is I would only work with an agency that was considered essential. So like the VA, Department of Defense, because I had learned my lesson when I was in the Army, how this impacted civilian employees and contractors. So there's certain agencies out there, like I got them here, Department of Defense, Department of Veterans Affairs, Department of Homeland Security out there, Department of Justice, a lot of that, Department of Transportation, a lot of that. Certain agencies like HHS took a big hit, but other parts of it did not, or even USDA, like the Food and Drug Administration, they only took like a 20% hit, where some other agencies took 50% hit on essential and non-essential. So you want to determine what is your agency that you're either working in or you're trying to target, and you've been planning for the last couple of months or whatever, you're working on it. Look in there and find their contingency plan. Sometimes it's called the lapse in funding plan. You can see it here in red that I put. But if you find these plans, it will tell you exactly what's being cut off and not cut off. And you don't even need a 2025, 2026 version of this, because just look at 24 and 23. They have always had these plans in place. If you struggle to find it on the internet, just reach out to somebody in that agency. They will, you reach out to public affairs. You can reach out to any single contracting officer and go, hey, do you got a copy? Certainly can reach out to small business professionals. Somebody will be able to help you find it. Your local PTAC. Or Apex Accelerator, right? Find that contingency plan, and it will help you understand in your target agency what's being considered non-essential, which is getting defunded during the shutdown, and what's considered essential, because that's what you should really be going after. Okay, so that's just a quick intro of what's being shut down. You can learn much more detail by going into those agency contingency plans. I wanted to share some tips about what successful government contractors are doing right now to deal with the shutdown, right? There's no easy way to sit there and talk about a shutdown. It sucks, right? They should get their act together and fund the government and open the government, not just for us, for the constituents, for the citizens that we are, but also for us businesses. This whole flux is really tough. I get that. But there are certain things that people are doing right now that are making sure that they keep pushing towards their goals. And so I put here as a start, professionals don't pause, right? If I'm trying to go this direction, let's say I'm talking to small business professionals or somebody, and the next thing I know, they're furloughed and they're not there. Contracting officers, I'm talking to senior contracting officers, furloughed. These people are out. Well, somebody is still at work, and so I'm going to keep going. There's other things I can do. I might sit there and try to shift to, sharing content, whatever it is. Like this second bullet, I said, refresh your brand. This is an example of don't pause. If you've got no one to go meet with, then refresh your brand. Look at your company and say, do we have one clear focused offer? And as long as we're revisiting our brand, like what we sell, that type of thing, when I'm looking at that, is it aligned to what the government currently thinks is not essential? Or if I'm rebranding and I go, you know what, I'm doing training on diversity and equity and inclusion, I would submit that brand is last year's brand, but it's not really going to survive in 2025 or 2026, right? And that's a really important come to truism on your brand and on what you sell. So look at that and to rebrand your company, or the way you answer the question, what do we sell? Rebrand it to 2025 and FY 2026 here in the way that the current government and the current buyers would value and appreciate and resonate with. So that needs to be one clear focused offer. When you have that, some other things that people are doing right now is taking the time to go into SAM and DSBS and updating their small business profile. Make sure the NAICS codes you have in there are the ones that really matter to you. If you've got 100 NAICS codes, get rid of 75 of them. You don't really need that many NAICS codes. And if you only have 2 or 3, add the right ones. All you have to do to find a good NAICS code, actually, you could go to my old company, GovCon in a Box. I sold it, but they still have it over there as a NAICS code finder. And you just put in the keywords for what you sell, that one clear focused offer. It'll go to FPDS and come back and say, hey, these are the NAICS codes that people have bought your products and services on as it relates to those keywords. Things like that need to be updated in your SAM profile. The other huge one is go in and put your capability statement in DSBS. Go to the bottom of DSBS, which is in sba.gov, right? Go to the bottom of it and put any experience you have. So many small businesses were missing that. And during this shutdown, it's a perfect time for us to update that information. The capability statement, I talked about putting it into DSBS, but before you do, take a look at it and go, did I have a 2026 version of this? Is it clean enough that people will know exactly what I do? And just as a quick reminder, a capability statement is not to teach. A capability statement is to get accepted or rejected as fast as possible. Meaning, if I show it to you and it says we do Microsoft SharePoint services, blah, 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 you're going to sit there and say, oh, we have SharePoint. Oh, I do something with SharePoint. Come on, let's talk. Or you're going to sit there and say, I do construction. Nope, I don't need to meet with you. Okay. Sales is about getting yes and no's, right? And so you want to make sure your capability statement makes it really easy for the person you give it to go, I want to have 5-minute or 10-minute conversation with you, or I don't even need to talk to you at all. And it's totally cool to get no's. That is sales. Build a target list. This is a really important thing that successful companies are doing right now, is they're revisiting their, you can call it your contact list, your CRM, whatever you want out there. But basically, I call it a target list. And a target list is a list of people you think would be good fits for your company, relationships that you want to develop with agency buyers at different roles within a federal agency, within large companies, within small companies. I'm saying right now during shutdown, commit yourself to building a list of 500 names. I literally could do it right now in an hour or less. I could build 500 names related to what you sell. Now, don't reach out and ask me to do it because it'd be really expensive. Just do it yourself. I've done 50 videos that you can go watch that say exactly step by step how I build a list and how you could build it pretty quickly. Even if it takes you a day, imagine if you had a list and that's who you start reaching out to, right? So build that target list in your target agency and you're ready to go. Keep in mind, in your target agency, there's easily tens and tens of thousands of people that you could possibly talk to that will lead you to the opportunities you can win. This is sales. It's about building your network to go towards relationships, to go towards the opportunity, right? And so it begins with knowing who you're trying to reach out to. And then the last thing I put here is plan out your 2026 goals. If you haven't done this already, create a strategic plan that says, this is my 2026 revenue goal. I like to call it an ARR, so annual recurring revenue, or monthly recurring revenue. By December 2026, I want to be billing out at $100,000 a month. That means I'm a $1.2 million company. Or I want to be billing out monthly to the government at $1 million a month. That means I'm a $12 million company. Whatever your goal is, and make it realistic, set that goal and then reverse engineer, which is basically strategically planning how you're going to get to that success. Create the roadmap that leads to that success. Right now, you've got this slowdown from the government shutdown. Redirect your energy to things like planning, and they'll really help you in the long run. Hey, really quick before I go on to the next slide, I just wanted to thank Voltron for being my sponsor for these lives. They're the exclusive sponsor for the lives now, helping me bring this training to you day after day. So check them out. They help you write more winning federal proposals with their purpose-driven AI. They take solicitation and get it to a draft compliant, compelling proposal within minutes, not weeks. And this is really important to you for you to be able to see that you've got the right opportunities in front of you, that you're writing the right response in a way that is going to win that contract for you going forward. So check out Voltron. At the very least, do me a favor and throw into the chat. Thanks, Voltron. You're the best. Okay, let me give you 5 shutdown habits for all of us winners. Here's what we should be considering doing, right? One of the things I put here, if you're not watching the slides, is that it's the same habits for summer, winter, holidays, etc. We're not a seasonal market in the government space, but most importantly, every person who is watching my training, every one of you in one way or another is a salesperson. And sales does not stop unless you're taking a vacation, which is fine, right? But sales does not stop. It does not stop because the government takes the holidays off. It does not stop because it takes a little time for them to come back at the beginning of the year. It does not stop at Easter or spring break. It does not stop because families are on summer break. It's like, how many weeks off do you think government buyers get? 30 weeks. Many of them don't even use it. It just carries over. In sales, you never look at a time and go, well, it's a slow time, right? It's Thanksgiving, I'm not doing anything. I have literally gone live on LinkedIn and YouTube, et cetera, on July 4th, on January 1st, Christmas Eve, and every single time I've got over 100 people come live into the training, right? And it's because it was convenient for them. They came in, they engaged, and if I was selling them something, how perfect is that? Well, it's the same thing with your buyers. Don't sit there and make an excuse for why they're not there. Just assume they are every single day and keep coming back. So here's 5 habits I want you to think about going into, especially in the next couple of weeks, but you can take this all the way into the next year. Keep calling and emailing. So these are 2 habits. Keep reaching out and leaving voicemails, right? You're going to call and go, oh, they're furloughed. They're not there. Yeah, but you'll leave a voicemail and you're like, hey, you might be furloughed. I feel bad for you, but I did want to just make sure I'm touching base with you. Right? When you call people, be friendly with them. These are your neighbors you're calling. These are the people in your church, in your grocery store, et cetera. They just happen to be working on the buyer side. And so be friendly when you're calling. But most, like 99% of the time when you call, you're going to leave a voicemail. So just have a voicemail that you can leave, just touching base. I would love to get a chance for a 5 to 15-minute introduction call, whatever that is, right? And then the same thing with an email, just following up, if and you're just keeping the momentum going. And if you think about those 500 people, you could reach out to those 500 people basically once a week. It seems like a lot, but it's only 100 a day. I could literally call 100 people or reach out to 100 people on email individually within an hour, right? It might take you a little longer, let's say 2, 3, 4 hours, but as you move forward, you get into this rhythm of reaching out to people. My point is your habit needs to be call people and email them. I highly encourage that these habits be the beginning of your day, because from a sales perspective, that is the thing that people let slide. But if you do it first thing in the morning, the rest of your day is easy because you don't have that task of reaching out to a lot of people every single day in the afternoon. All right, so habit 1 and 2 are calling people and emailing. Third one is keep learning. So you're here, you're learning, and I appreciate you being here and networking with others. But just keep learning. Learn about the government, right? Don't just come to me and listen to me, which I love. Don't just come to me and listen to me talk about habits on shutdown, but get into an agency and read their strategic documents. Read their 500 page budget. And when I say read a budget, sure, I mean scanning on that one, but scan for the things that relate. Begin to understand how to read a budget. That's a really cool thing. Go to SAM, go to FPDS, learn these tools, become expert. I mean by learning. By the way, Friday, I think I'm doing a training on SAM, like how to be an expert on SAM type thing. So join me on that. Fourth one is keep engaging. And so this one I mean by on LinkedIn in particular, keep engaging with people out there. Right now, I can find all sorts of federal buyers who are furloughed, who are out there and engaging, and one day soon they're going to be back in their offices, right? And there's other people, and there's federal buyers, or industry folks who are out there on LinkedIn. Engage with folks. I put a post out this morning And if you've been here for my whole training, now I remember yesterday I did the newsletter one, and this morning I have 42,000 followers on LinkedIn, and I want them to connect with you. You can connect with 100 of them. This is what I mean by networking. Keep networking is go reach out to them. They're all open to connecting, or the ones that are engaging on that post are saying, I'm open to connecting. Charles, I think I might have saw you in there this morning, right? These people are saying they're open to connecting. And if you connect with them, you build your network. Maybe you talk to each other, maybe you don't. But eventually your network gets bigger and you find ways to work together. That's why we keep networking, is so that one day I'm helping you and one day you're helping me. And one day we're working together on something in common. One of the notes I put here, just in case you're not looking at my slides, is that leaders are measured when things are hard, not easy. This is a huge thing. I like to sit there and say your character is what happens when no one is looking, or what you do when no one's looking. And it's the same thing here. Anybody can sit there and be a good leader when times are good, right? If I go get VC funding and I get $3 million to build out Call Plan AI, which I want to do, well, does that make me much better leader over when I was building it without any of that? I think not, because without the funding, I'm figuring out all these ways to work. Remember what I said, just keep going at it. We just keep driving. And so for you, there's no harder time in government contracting, I think, right now than this year. With DOGE's impact on us, with the shutdown, if you can make your company grow, or if you work for a company, if you can help that company grow now when it's hard, imagine how good you'll be when it gets easier, when the money starts flowing a lot easier, when opportunities are out there more for what you do. So just focus on that. Here's what I want you to remember from today's training. First thing is, you can't control what you can't control. And Congress, for sure, you can't control Congress. You can only control yourself. That circle of influence is you. Circle of concern is Congress and everybody else. Focus on you and you will have success. Focus on them and you will fail. I don't mean it in a bad way. I just mean you have no ability to control them. Second thing I want you to remember is be the one to make it happen. You might have heard this line: some people make it happen, some people watch it happen, and some people say, what happened? Don't say what happened. Don't even watch it happen. Be the one to make it happen. Make your company the one that's making it happen. If you're working for a company, this is what your company needs right now, is for you to take the initiative and to not make excuses for things slowing down, but to drive forward. And then the last thing is reach out to 100 people this week. Seriously, not some soft thing. Put together a list of 500 people. Reach out to 100 people this week. It is not that hard. Okay, so don't forget, tomorrow's training is about the women-owned small business, how you can succeed there. I'd love to have you join me. If you're interested in joining me at Call Plan AI, I'd love to have you over there. Its main purpose is how to start and build relationships, how to get in and take those first meetings to a second and to a third meeting. One of the advantages that Call Plan AI has right now is that you can get me live on Zoom every day, 3 to 4. As I'm building the company, I'm trying to have conversations with you and see what you run into so I can keep improving my product. Well, this has turned out to me being a coach for a lot of people in there. Love to have you in there. Just remember, for all of us, government contracting, it's not a secret. It's just a process. Part of the process is ending on time. I am, so I will see you in the next training.